is Rick France. I am an application specialist for Plant 3D here at Hagerman. And today we're going to take a look at some of the piping tools that you have available. Mostly we're going to look at the grips, but we'll look at some other things also of how I use auto routing and things like that. Also, I personally prefer to work off a P&ID list. So I've already got a P&ID drawn in here, as you can see. And it shows you that I've got some pumps and some tanks along with some valves and things that go along with it. And since I'm working with a P&ID line list, I'm going to come up here and turn that on, and you can see it's pulling in all the information that is coming from the P&ID, and it allows me to be able to connect my model right up to the P&ID right off the bat. Now, to make it a little bit easier to see, there's some things I'm going to turn off. I'm working with two XREFs. One is my structural steel XREF, the other one is my equipment XREF, into another drawing for my piping. So I'm going to freeze a couple of layers like my grid, and I'm going to freeze the grading there so that I don't see it, because that's not something I normally want to see here in my piping drawing. And so I can turn it on and off a little bit easier. I'm going to turn off the railing, the steel, the bracing, and we'll turn off the access, the footing, and my concrete. Now I'm leaving on these two right here, which are going to be my beams that I put my pipe supports on, which at this time we're not going to, in this video, go into pipe supports and place them, but I want them there so I can kind of see that when I look at it from that angle. Look at a front view here, you can see I've got those two beams here, and that's where I'm going to place my pipe supports on. So my elevations here of these pipes, which I've already pre-drawn a couple of them here to speed things up a little bit, are a little bit high, and that's part of what I'm going to set with those grips. Now, being that this is equipment that's going to be going back towards my structure, and then going behind the tanks and over and under the structure. Auto routing doesn't do me much good at this point, because if I was to run auto route from this tank here, for instance, to this pump over here, it's going to want to run something very direct and over and down. It's going to go right through the steel and everything, and I want it to go a specific direction. So what I found is it works a little better with the auto routing portion of the piping if I pre-draw kind of the route that I want to head and let it finish it up, because the hard part is lining this stuff up when I'm coming from two different directions here to be able to come back and over and everything. So I like to let the software do as much math as possible. So the first thing we're going to take a look at here are these pipes coming out the back, and I'm going to go ahead and add a couple here. Working from my P&ID line list, if I take a look at this tank, that particular tank is my tank 2100, so I know that's going to be my 1100 pipe coming off of it. So I'm going to come over here and just select it in my line list and right click and place item. Now I have only my node OSNAP turned on right now, and so when I zoom in here, find that node, come off of it and come straight back, it's going to put the flange, everything on there. The elbow is going to the exact height of the elbow. I know I'm going to go 5 feet back, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. Now I have my dynamic input on so that I can make sure that I'm staying within my dimensions. And here's what I was talking about. I know that those particular two pieces of steel here that are going to support my pipe supports are at a 9-foot elevation. So I want my pipe to run basically 10-foot elevation across here. Now it's obvious to see also that right now I have pipes coming at 3 different levels, so that's where the auto routing is going to help here in a little bit. So for the time being, because I don't want to have to do the calculation of how the elevation of that tank up to the elbow, everything about that thing to calculate exactly to get me down to where I'm in that 10-foot range. So I'm just going to pick a number for basically right now. So I'm going to drag my cursor straight down and run at 30 feet. And then I'm going to run to the right. So I'm going to use my control right click. You can see my compass here is wanting me to continue in this direction or this direction, which is not the area I need to turn. So I'm going to control right click to change that compass. And now I'm just going to run over here about 30 feet and just hit enter and hit enter again to complete the command. So the first thing here is you can see that basically made my pipe come in here. If I look at my properties palette, I'm at a bottom of pipe elevation down here of 9 foot 2 and 15/16 of an inch. I know I want that to be around at 10 feet. So that's what I want to work with. And again, this works off center line of pipe, so it would have taken a little bit of calculation to figure all that out. So what I found my preference is, I'm going to turn to my left view here. Zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to select this. You can see I've got several grips here I can work with. The one I'm going to work with at this point is this one right here, which is my elevation grip. With it selected here, I'm going to click on that elevation grip right there. And you can see, because of my dynamic input being on, which by the way, my dynamic input is this one right down here. So I've got that turned on, and so you can see I'm able to see the bottom of the pipe elevation right here, my center of pipe, and my top of pipe elevation. This is 8-inch diameter pipe, by the way. So I'm going to work first. I want to set that bottom of the pipe elevation of this particular run to 10 feet. So I'm going to use my tab key. Now you can see the center of pipe is highlighted. Hit my tab key again. I'm on the bottom of pipe. I'm going to set that to 10 feet and hit enter. Now I know that since this is 8-inch pipe, long radius elbow is going to be 12 inches, so I want to set these 2 feet apart so that when I come over here, this one's at the right elevation right off the bat, but this one's going to need to make a turn down and then a turn towards the pump. Same with this one, so I'm going to place these 2 feet apart. So I'm going to select this piece of pipe, and if you notice when I'm changing this elevation, that elbow down here is adjusting right along with it. If I had any valves or any type of reducers or T's or anything on here, they would all adjust accordingly. So I'm going to take this one, tab over to the bottom of the pipe, and make this one 12 feet. And then for the third piece of pipe, we'll come right and do the elevation grip on it. Bottom of pipe, make this one at 14 feet. So these are all now 2 feet apart. Likewise on the pumps, we'll come over here and zoom in on them a little bit. I'm going to do something very similar. I'm still on the same run of pipe here, so I'm going to take the 1100, place the item, work right off the node for this one. Once I've got that node, we'll come straight up 10 feet. Then I'm going to come back 30 feet from there. So I've kind of drawn that one, but these again, I want to have them on that same 10-foot elevation so that the bottom of this pipe is a foot above these 2 support beams right here. So again, using that same grip, we'll find the bottom of the pipe, set it to 10 feet, and this time I'm going to do all 3 of them to the 10 feet. But I'm allowing the software to do all the calculating for me instead of sitting here grabbing a calculator and figuring all this out. So now I've got everything at a 10-foot elevation, just a foot right above that beam right there that I'm going to place my supports on at a later time. So we'll come back here, kind of zoom in to where we can see things, and you can see now it's going to be real easy to connect these 2 up. But the hard part a lot of people would try to do is to connect this up to this piece of pipe. This is where I want to use the auto pipe, because I don't want to have to try to calculate this thing out. So I'm going to actually select it, and here's another grip that is for adding pipe. So we're going to select this piece of pipe here right on the add grip, come over to the node of this one, both at the same elevation. It knows exactly what it needs to do to connect those up, so I can just accept it, and I'm done with that one. It's going to get a little more complicated here because now I need to come down and connect to this one at a different elevation. But I'm going to allow it to calculate this out. You can see it gave me one option here where it's doing that, and that's not acceptable. I really don't want that one. It's only given me 2 options. That one's the closest because at least it's getting this elbow lined up in the correct plane if I was to look at it from the top. I'll wait until I go ahead and accept this one. And what I mean by that is I can see it's at least lined up in the correct plane. And that's what I was talking about with the auto pipe, that it really comes in handy and at least getting you lined up, because that would have been very difficult to get in the exact XY plane it needed. But it's still not the route that I want, because I want to make the turn here. I want to use as few elbows as possible, and right now it's using 3 elbows. So I'm going to delete what it actually added in that auto route, except for the 1 elbow that's right down here. And for that one, I'm going to select it, and you can see I've got several different grips here that I can use. Now, just to let you know what some of these grips are, if I hit this one right here, that will flip the part. Right here, I could change it to another type of elbow that is in my specs for this particular project, or a pipe bend. So I have the option of changing that. That comes in real handy with valves and things, to be able to change it from like a butterfly valve to a ball valve if you needed to. But also I have some move grips right here. Right here you can see those are move grips. Not something I want to do right now, but a couple more just to show you right here. This is called a continue pipe routing grip, and it would turn it into a T if I chose that one. So I don't even have to place another one on there. So instead of placing the elbow from it, I'll let the auto route do it. I'm going to select this, and right here, this one right here, this is a rotate grip. So I'm going to select that one, rotate it straight down using the compass. And at this point, if I add the auto route back in, connect it up, it put the extra elbow in, connected everything up. A lot simpler than trying to line those things up by picking an elbow off of the tool palette here and then trying to get it in the perfect location. Let the computer do the work for me. So again, I'm going to pick that one. It gave me a really wild routing there that I don't want, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of several things here. But I do know this elbow right there is lined up just the way I want it. And so I'm going to go ahead and use that same rotate grip to rotate it straight up. And I'm going to grab the plus, connect it right there. I'm all lined up. Made it real simple to route that pipe in there and get it all lined up exactly what I wanted, exactly with as few elbows as I could use. And it also got me at the exact elevation that I needed right above my structural beams. So that just shows you a few of the things you can do. We'll go ahead and turn everything back on, and you can see how everything's nice and lined up, missing my steel, no clashes, and I'm ready to put in those pipe supports on those braces. It's really a good idea to get a handle on the grips that are available with the piping, because it'll allow you to set those elevations, to rotate items, to be able to use the auto routing to get everything, let the computer do the math for you so you don't have to.